Alright guys, for Friday, August 20th, this will be our social studies mini lesson. When we see each other at 2 o'clock later, or 1:30 in the afternoon, I'll be able to help you with your assignment. But this will be the information you should already know or watch before 1:30, okay? Yesterday, quick recap, we learned the truth about Christopher Columbus, and we learned about the reasons European countries came to the New World. Okay? Don't forget, you should still read Studies Weekly Week 1. I'm kind of giving you the main ideas and some extra information, but I still want you to read Studies Weekly Week 1 because eventually the quizzes will come straight from Studies Weekly, and you got to read those. You guys know how to read. It's very important for you to read each week. Okay, so we learned how France, Spain, and England were coming to the New World. Once these explorers came to the New World, some of them would go back home and tell the people, hey, come to the New World. There is money to earn and lots of land. You gotta come check it out. Maybe some of them sent letters back. Maybe some of them traveled back. Who knows? But the word is going to spread, and more of these European countries, France, Spain, and England, are going to try to come to the New World. Okay? Yesterday we learned how Spain is going to come to Florida. They're going to come to Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean. Cartier is a Frenchman. This is France. He's going to come up here to Canada and explore. Cabot's going to come up here and explore. And pretty much everyone's coming over to get their piece of the New World. So, the kings, though, what was happening was explorers were coming, making money, and going back. They were going to come, find gold, go back. Kings wanted them to stay, because if they stayed, it would give them more power, because now it's like their countries are growing, okay? So like I said earlier, early explorers and conquistadors would come to the New World, earn money, and go back to Europe. The kings are thinking, this is King Henry from England, why don't you guys stay and live in the New World? I want people to live over there. But a lot of people, that's kind of scary. That would be like if we sent astronauts to Mars and told them, why don't you guys go live over there, build cities, and help Earth grow? Right? That would be very scary. That's kind of what they wanted the new explorers to do. And so France, England, and Spain started to create colonies. This is a vocab word in the New World. What is a colony? Think of it like a tiny city before it becomes a city. So for instance, when a country like England or Spain or France, when they conquered a new land and they would claim it, okay? When a country conquers a new land and claims it means you say it's yours, even if the other person doesn't agree with you. So what I mean by that is, when people from England landed over here in the New World, they would grab a flag, stick it on the ground, and say, I claim this land for King Henry of England. But there was already someone living there. And the person who was already living there was like, what? Who are you? Why are you trying to take my land away? So that's what claims means. And that's how a colony started. So how do you become a city eventually? Remember, we're starting just with settlements and colonies. Eventually, we're going to grow, though. So when you first arrived to the New World, it was called the settlements. Okay, that was pretty much the first arrivals. You got off the boat, you've landed, you are a settlement. You are just trying to survive. When you have a colony, now more people are starting to arrive. You're starting to get food, you're starting to farm, more people are coming. It's a little bit more successful. If you keep surviving and you keep thriving, which means doing well, You can eventually turn into a town. You'll start building churches, schools, markets. It starts looking more like what we are not familiar with. And then eventually, it can become into a city where you have government and city leaders. Like right now, we have cities. Back then, we were settlements and colonies. Okay? This right here, all of the green was claimed and conquered by Spain. Remember we talked about how people down here all speak Spanish? It's because Spain conquered it or claimed it. The purple is for Portugal. This is where they speak Brazilian. The blue is France. Remember, France is going to come and claim their land. Down here is Louisiana. They named that after King Louis, like Louis, Louisiana. And the red is going to be the British. This is where they land, and they get the 13 colonies. And this piece in the middle, France and England fight over it. Okay? But we'll talk more about that next week. So, who is going to become the first colonist? Remember, imagine if someone told you, hey, do you want to go to Mars and start a colony for us? The people who have good jobs, families, money, and food, a lot of them aren't going to want to come because they already have a good life in England. They already have a good life in France. So the ones who are going to sign up are going to be the poor, the desperate. Criminals get sent to the New World. That's one of the biggest groups that get sent. Like, all right, we caught you stealing. Do you want to go to jail or do you want to get on this boat and go to the New World? So a lot of criminals are going to choose to go to the New World to avoid jail. And a lot of soldiers and explorers are going to go. Entrepreneurs. These are men with business ideas. They want to start companies in the New World. They want to make money from the New World. And missionaries. These are the ones who want to teach the natives about religion, like priests, pastors, and church people. There's a book we read at school, so hopefully one day we go back, we'll read it. It's about a boy from England who is very poor, very desperate because he has no money, no family, and he's about to go to jail. And so he decides instead to come to the New World. Okay, that book is called Boat on the River. So was it easy to start colonies? No, it's very hard. The early explorers had to fight natives, disease, nature, hot weather, wild animals. Many died at sea in the ocean after 4 months of traveling. 4 months. Imagine being stuck in the car for 4 months. And also, the Spanish, the English, and the French, they fight each other for land. They fight the natives for land. So there's a lot of battles and war going on. And many settlements don't survive. Okay? Remember how I said you have a settlement? Some settlements never become colonies because they pretty much all die. So in Spain in 1565 creates the first successful colony in Florida. By the way, they call it Florida because flor means flowers. The guy who founded thought, wow, so many pretty flowers. I'm going to call this place Florida. And St. Augustine becomes the oldest city in America. Now I'm going to play this video for you and I want you to watch it. It's a pretty interesting mystery of a settlement from England called the Roanoke Island. And it ends in tragedy. It's a mystery that no one knows the answer what happened. So let's watch this.
Over 400 years ago, a daring group of spirited settlers crossed the Atlantic Ocean in an attempt to establish their very first English settlement in the New World, called Roanoke. Not a single one of those poor people would ever be heard from again. So, what happened to the mysterious lost colony of Roanoke? Let's find out in today's episode of Roswell Mysteries. On April 9th, 1585, 5 ships left port in Plymouth, England, and set sail across the Atlantic Ocean in order to establish a new English colony on the eastern coast of North America. The trip was long and hazardous, and took a terrible 4 months to complete. In August, the tattered fleet finally found a spot to set up, a little island on the outer banks of what we now call North Carolina, called Roanoke Island. It turned out that surviving was brutally hard work. The land was rough, the conditions were harsh, and fresh supplies were needed. So the newly elected governor of Roanoke, John White, set sail back to England to plead with the Queen for more support, leaving his wife and newborn granddaughter behind, and promising to return within the year. But things didn't go quite as planned. It took 3 long years before John White finally found his way back to the Roanoke settlement, and what he found when he returned was truly mysterious. The captain could find no trace whatsoever of the colony or its hundreds of inhabitants. It's as if they'd vanished into thin air. After searching the spot where the settlement had been, White found a single curious clue, the word Croatoan, carved into a tree. The captain and his men desperately wanted to continue the search for his wife, daughter, and grandchild, and the rest of the missing settlers. But a major storm approaching the shore forced them to turn around and head back across the Atlantic Ocean to England. To this very day, the lost colony of Roanoke remains one of the most well-known mysteries in early American history. Experts have been unable to solve Roanoke's secrets, but they have suggested some possible explanations. Some people think that the settlers tried to sail back to England on their own, but got lost at sea. Others believe they may have been attacked by Spanish soldiers who made their way north from Florida. But maybe the most popular theory involves the curious clue the captain and his men found when they returned to Roanoke. Croatoan, the word creepily carved into a tree, is the name of an island just south of the settlement that a tribe of First Nations people called home. The Roanoke settlement might have been attacked or abducted by that nearby tribe, and the tree carving was a last-ditch effort to let any returning Englishmen know what had happened to them. But most experts believe it's just as likely that the settlers weren't attacked at all. Since they were having such a hard time surviving, most think they joined up with a friendly tribe and became part of the native people. But no matter the explanation, it seems likely that we will never know what really happened to the hundreds of people who vanished from Roanoke without a trace. And now you...
Okay, so vanished without a trace. That means when John White went back to find him, he didn't find any dead bodies, he didn't find any bones, any skeletons. He found nothing, and that's why it's such a mystery. So I will see you guys later on at, I guess at 1:30, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Roanoke colony. You can share your theories. What do you think happened to them? And you'll have time to complete your assignment. Okay, thank you, and I will see you later.